But you know what happens when you win a trophy? People smile. And if there's one rule that you must learn, is that the more people smile, the more leeway you are giving. How many times can you magic and you Tito and you Masego? How many times are you going to lose Abo Ronwen Williams before it catches up to you? Don't go and try and do fancy things. Coach Kerr at the beginning of the season, then Coach Dance, then he gets moved out, then it's Coach Wadu, then now he's getting shipped off after giving them allegedly a 40-page dossier. Can you just pick something? Is Pirates the second best team in the league because they're genuine contenders in competition for Mamelodi Sundowns? Or are they second by virtue of being the best of the rest? Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Jos Bukwena. I am your host, and I hope that you are not one of the 62% of returning viewers to this channel that are not subscribed. Please do me the honor of subscribing to the videos, as well as liking, commenting, and sharing the video so we can grow this platform. There isn't another place where we're having these type of conversations, and my goal is to make sure that these conversations go out into the world so we can start asking better questions and having better chats about this football that we love. Now, club football is done for the season. And I think I can sum up each of the different teams' seasons in just 3 words. So let's play the 3-word game and go through each of the teams in the league as well as the league as a whole. Nothing to say. Nothing to say. Royal AM has joined a long list of teams that something happens financially and then there's a problem. Money seems to be the league's biggest issue. And I think that this Royal AM situation should prompt the league to look into how ownership is done in the league. In some of the other leagues, you have to have a certain amount of money in escrow to make sure that if your owner is tracked down by SARS, if your owner runs out of money, if the organization that is funding your team decides not to budget for you anymore, you don't die. Royal AM, Bidvest, TTM, Bloemfontein Celtic, you name it. It seems that the league has a huge problem with money, and this time it manifested ugly with the Royal AM not being able to play many games in the season to the point where they had to be annulled from the league, and the league was played as if they were never there. Very, very harsh, but it's a step forward from what I said last season. Swallows losing those 2 games was a bad omen for if a team goes into the season and has issues. And this is what came to pass with the Royal AM. There's nothing to say. Cape Town City. Many wrong decisions. I think sometimes you get lost in the sauce. I think sometimes you think that, this team has been running like that so much that we can now decide to go and change things even mid-season and we'll be okay. Cape Town City has hidden behind, number 1, the league being so bad and there being worse teams below them consistently, that when they started stagnating, nobody could take over. But then number 2, having a coach like Coach Tinkler, who then shows his importance, how he's been holding things together. And the decision making that was made by that club to get rid of him, to then bring in Mushin Etrigal as a technical director, then make him the coach, showed a pattern that is prevalent within the league, where organizations and teams make all types of changes mid-season, and when the boat rocks, you realize how much of a knife edge the team was on. And now Cape Town City finds themselves playing in a playoff. Now, we know that when PSL teams go into the playoff, they usually win those games. They usually win the playoff and come back in. So they're going to be hoping that it's going to be sad to see one of the better run teams in the league, as well as one of the more experienced owners going down. But it shows you again that, decisions are very important, and many wrong decisions can sink your ship. Continuing the trend, SuperSport United, miracles run out. You cannot sustainably keep losing your best players season and season and season and season on end without it catching up. Realistically, how many times can you magic and you Shandre Campbell? How many times can you magic and you Tito and you Masego? How many times are you going to lose Abo Ronwen Williams before it catches up to you? SuperSport United, also one of the better run teams in the league, already facing rumors of multi-choice pulling out of SuperSport and possibly putting them into financial ruin and maybe opening a space for Bloemfontein Celtic to come in. But you also then get rid of the coach who has put you there. Gavin Hunt used all 30 years, all 3 decades of his experience within the league to make sure that he was crafting a team that he could keep bringing back into the league. Even that runs out. Miracles don't last forever. And sometimes, at some point, you're going to be caught out. Similar to Cape Town City, the more you stagnate, the more you stay in the same place, the more you struggle, the more you put strain on your model. One day, it's going to catch up to you. Luckily, Coach Andre Arendse was able to right the ship and keep them in the league. But these are the warning signs, and they should take heed of these warnings. Makesi. How recovery works. Guys, Makesi won a trophy this season. The Carling Knockout, beating Sundowns and Pirates on their way to go win the trophy. But then they found themselves at the bottom. And they found themselves in a space where, you know what, you've just won a trophy, you might just go down. Made some changes. Obviously, Coach Larson left. And then in comes ODG. And sometimes what Makesi shows you is at times you need to know exactly where you are in your project and in your season and in your positioning in the league. Don't go and try and do fancy things. Abo Ntakama are all the coaches that are really good at specifically this job. How do I make sure that I can take my team from one place to another? One of the teams that got it wrong last season was Cape Town Spurs, who finds themselves in amateur football. Because they took out Sean Bartlett, but they did not realize where they were. And they brought in a coach that doesn't function at that space. So kudos to Makesi. At some point, they have a run of 5 wins. They had a run of 5+ wins at home, which was one of the longest runs since 2020, and one of the only teams to do it outside of Mamelodi Sundowns, which just shows you how great that recovery worked. Chippa, unsung hero in the league, should be one of the players that are considered seriously for goalkeeper of the season. I know there's a conversation I had about that, but they really have to be commended for the rescue job that they did. Makesi, how recovery works. Oh, back to poverty. Golden Arrows brought in Coach Manqoba Mngqithi under the guise of it being, a new dawn. But let's tell the truth, guys. Let's tell the truth. Eating sushi forever and then having to go back to bread is tough. Managing a Mamelodi Sundowns is exactly that. Managing Mamelodi Sundowns. At the bottom of the globe, you have to coach. And now Golden Arrows finds themselves worse off. After seasons where they've brought in Coach Manqoba, they've brought in Coach Steve at some point, Coach Kenyeza was holding it, Coach Vusbuzi Vilakazi was holding it at some point. So many changes and none moving them forward. Now, the big test is going to be next season to see if Coach Manqoba will be able to right the ship, because to be fair to him, he did come in mid-ish season. And Abafana West End, they find themselves at number 12. Back to poverty. Hopefully they can be back to relative success under Coach Manqoba. Lost their Kopo. Kwanele Kopo's contract ran out mid-season. And the sad part about his contract running out mid-season is that I think he was building something really strong there with Coach Thabo September, who also has since left the club. Chippa United seems allergic to finding things that work. The moment that something is working, they overwhelm it. Now, next season has to be a season where we start seeing that Chippa is a team that has been in the league for more than a decade now. We need to start seeing some growth. We need to start seeing some forward movement. And it has to come from teams like Chippa United. Teams that they're the only team in the Eastern Cape. The only representative of the league. If something happens to them, then there's a huge problem with how our football is distributed across the country. So you need to see a little bit more from Chippa United. Yes, there's some deals that didn't work out, and Dile Charlie didn't play as much as maybe was expected. They ran out of steam somewhat. The coaching change may have affected them. But like I said, this is one of the older teams right now in the league. They should be head and shoulders above everybody else. And Ubab Chippa Mpengesi has a lot of decision making to make at the end of the season, going into the next season. So let's see what they do. Oh, Marumo Gallants. Just pick a direction. Coach Kerr at the beginning of the season, then Coach Dance, then he gets moved out, then it's Coach Wadu, then now he's getting shipped up after giving them allegedly a 40-page dossier. Can you just pick something and go with it? Right now you need consistency in your league, in your team, in your team. Owner Abramsil, Chairman Abramsil, can you please just pick a direction and go with it? Trust somebody. Let them run your team. Resource them properly. You cannot be doing these up and downs all over the place, because also it makes it tough for you to build a fan base. The whole point of Marumo Gallants going over that side to Bloemfontein was them to give them a team. And if rumors are to be believed, Celtic is coming back. And now you're going to be in a very, very tough place. Gallants, a team that has all of the potential. You know, Lambo sitting on the bench. You have Abu Gabadino Mhango. You have players that could possibly make a difference for you. But keeping on changing and chopping and doing this and doing that, new coach and new structure, pre-season is this one, that season, you cannot find a rhythm and a consistency while doing that. So Marumo Gallants, pick a decision, pick a direction, please. Kaizer Chiefs. Trophies change opinions. I think we all know Kaizer Chiefs had an incredibly difficult season. I think they had an incredible bad season, actually. But you know what happens when you win a trophy? People smile. And if there's one rule that you must learn, is that the more people smile, the more leeway you are giving. Coach Nebi, now, through that Nedbank Cup win, will be given so much leeway going into next season that he's going to have a much easier job in coaching, I believe. But it doesn't negate the fact that we finished outside of the top 8 again. Another season where Kaizer Chiefs, with its considerable history, with its considerable number of players that could necessarily make a change, with a coach like Coach Nebi, who is a continental class, world-class coach, finished number 9. And the trophy has made all of the difference in the world, because we're going to forget about that. But the truth be told, a lot of work has to be done in that team. Whether it be signings, whether it be actual gameplay, whether it be in just the belief of the players. There's work that needs to be done, and this season showed. This season was worse than Coach Kevin Johnson, worse than Molefintseki, worse than Atazwane, worse than Gavin Hunt. At what point do we say, guys, you need to get your act together? And a team like Chiefs has the resources not to go out and fight Mamelodi Sundowns, to go out and win leagues, but you cannot be the 9th best team in the league. A lot of real questions will need to be asked in that Chiefs team. What is the philosophy? Who are the players who are bringing in to back this philosophy? Are we willing to go 100% into the direction of this philosophy, so that we make sure we sow roots deep and grow trees high? And that means that from management all the way down to the pitch, one vision, one voice, one motive, one philosophy. Cannot have another season of up and down. No coach is going to just save Kaizer Chiefs off of the strength of their coaching. There's a lot that needs to happen behind the scenes. Now, next season, we'll have its challenges, because we are going to be playing CAF Confederations Cup. And CAF Confederations Cup adds another dimension, the traveling dimension, the squad building dimension. So this next transfer window is going to be a very important transfer window. The pre-season is going to be very important. And also, coaching changes in terms of additions to that technical team are going to be very important. You don't get time for time's sake. And what this season proved is that if you can just win the one trophy, you'll be fine. Okay, so I know I stopped the video a lot, and a lot of you are wondering, why are you asking for money? So I wanted to show you. I asked for money because I want to do more of this. Huh? But the truth of the matter is that it took over an hour in order just to render that shot. And it takes even longer when I'm doing my normal content, because guys, here's the unsung hero of the channel. And unfortunately, Shem, but the screen is broken. I have to use a second screen, and the performance is not up to it. So I'd really love to upgrade things like that. And when you look over here, this is what the setup looks like. Rehenga di patlo and rehenga di green screen, which is a reality of being a South African content creator. Also, this is what people think is my studio. Is actually my house. So if you still don't know that I'm doing all of this from my home, then I don't know. But that is essentially what I want to do. More of these cool things. But I need you guys to please help me out by donating 50 Rand or more into this account. You know, we're fighting for multi-choice. And multi-choice, but there is subscription models all over the place. And I'd love to give the biggest quality while also being able to pay my rent and do things like that. That is where your money is going. And I promise to give you only the best content that I can if you do throw something in. So I just wanted to show you guys what I want to do with your money. I want to take this South African football and fulfill my dream of taking it into the future. But thank you guys so much. Remember, this is the bank account that you deposit into. Get back into the video. Richards Bay, from bottom to the middle. That is progress. That is progress, especially after what happened with Coach Vusmuzi Vilagazi, especially after he saved them last season from relegation through the playoffs. And now in comes the new coaching staff and they continue on that job. The fact that Richards Bay can go from being a 15th team to becoming a top 8 team is testament to some really great work. I have been very critical of Richards Bay, but the truth of the matter is that they knuckled down, they kept quiet, and they got the results. You know, sometimes, guys, quiet is a good thing. Sometimes you don't need to make a noise and you just need to go and put in the work. And you have to clap hands for Bob Jomo Piela and that Richards Bay team for getting to where they got. Nobody expected this from them, to be a better team than the Kaizer Chiefs that we were all thinking that glory was coming to them. So well done to Richards Bay. I think they built everything they needed to build. Oh, Polokwane City. Believed the hype. Believed the hype. There was a point in the season where Coach Pitso Mosimane, one of my favorites, everybody here knows, started talking a lot. Started posturing to the media. Started doing more interviews. Started being more spicy in his interviews. Started giving us clickbait. Started giving us, you know, ways to get into that team. And I remember thinking at the time, this is going to be a downfall. Polokwane City was a top 5 team. They're now languishing at number 7. And I know what you're going to say, it's not a big drop. But what you look for is constant progress. And I think the progress at Polokwane City not only stalled, they fell a little bit. And I believe it's because they fell into the hype machine, the media machine. I think they started believing that they are better, or they started believing in the hype, like I was saying. I hope that they find that humility again, that made them a dark horse in the league. That humility that made it that teams didn't know where they were going, how they were going to come at it. Especially if you want to keep players like Bo Apolis. A lot has been said about Apolis. A lot has been said about Matuludi and players like that. That can you find greener pastures outside? And my hope was for Polokwane City this season was them to be able to, one, back Apolis and say, listen, we know allegedly phones were not picked up, but we're building this team so that it can be strong with you as a Bafana International so that we can cement your place there. And we can tell you that this project and promise you that this project is a project that is building towards something. But if it's not building towards something and you keep dropping, what stops you from becoming like the yo-yos of the league, the Amazulus, the yo-yos of the league, your Chippas, the yo-yos of the league that go up and down? Coach Pitso Mosimane, get back to you. Don't worry about the noise. Don't worry about the outside. Don't worry about trying to prove yourself to everybody outside. Last season, you did an incredible job proving yourself inside when there were doubters through the results. The results speak. The more you speak, the bigger target you put on your back. So hopefully Polokwane City can bounce back, but they need to find that humility. Mazulu, Hebe, Usutu. Zwane shines again. Coach Ata Zwane shows again that he should be considered one of the brightest young coaches in the league. This is the same Atazwane that finished number 5 with Kaizer Chiefs. The same one. And you can see that there's something there. What I'm most proud of with Atazwane this season is that he has a 6-month contract. And you know what happens in the league with these 6-month contracts. Okay, take. Sorry for now. But steering wheel hanyani. But he was able to get a contract extension because he took AmaZulu into the top 6. No fuss, no hassle, no massive huge signings. Just a coach that understands the league. Well done to Coach Atazwane for stepping up again. A lot of people were questioning him. There were rumors about him dislodging coaches from their jobs at Kaizer Chiefs, hidden in the development. But up he stands again and he does the job one more time. This is not a premium coach. This is not Pablo Franco Martin. Yeah? This is not a khoza. It's just a local coach who's doing the work. Well done, Atazwane. TS Galaxy. Wow. The right plumber. They found the right plumber. Peganovic, of course, was an assistant to Sid Ramovic, who has since moved on to go coach, I believe it's CR Belouizdad, is it? If I'm not mistaken. A lot was asked of him because, again, he's a coach that nobody was looking at, nobody cared about. But I think, again, it's a team that, you know, they know what they want to do. Your Mvelases, your Puso Ditejanes, your Zajmoviches contribute so much towards that team. And it's a team that has an identity. Now, the test for them is to continue that succession, continue that progress, continue on finding the ways. And what's nice about having some of these plumbers, quote unquote, you know, a plumber fixes pipes, guys. A plumber may not be a superstar. It may not be somebody who you're looking at. But the job is done. Bangalovic has shown that there's an understanding he has. When he's played versus Mamelodi Sundowns and he's beaten Mamelodi Sundowns, there's something there. I look again, Tim Sugas, back this man, figure out how to grow your team. Stop trying to sell your coaches. Those who know. Don't stop trying to sell your coaches. But well done to TS Galaxy, number 5. Aus Khukune United, Babina Noko. Experience brings stability. I think Khukune was a team that was sitting at in a very precarious position. Coach Siema was let go end of last season. You bring in the coach, why am I forgetting his name? You bring in the coach, he comes in, has his scandals, goes home. You then bring back Lionel Siema, then there's an issue. Then from then you come back and you bring in Coach Tinkler. But you know what helped Khukune in my eyes? Abo Bonare, Abo Linda Mtambo. I remember sending Ufigo, Captain Figo, I remember sending him a DM at the beginning of the season saying, Gegenpress ireng mongwane. Gegenpress ireng mongwane. And he replied that, no, we're working hard and we're growing. You know, cooler heads prevailed there. And you need, you know, Abumbule came in and guys that have experience sometimes when everything is shaking. Special shout out to Eric Tinkler. After having the start he had with Cape Town City and having to take over this Khukune team that was at the situation where they were, it's not an easy job. But like I said, sometimes you just need experience in order to keep the ship afloat. And that is what Khukune did. That is what Khukune has done. Apologies. And hopefully next season they can build upon what they've built there, because I think Khukune is a sleeper team that people are not really taking a note of. Watch how they play, how hungry they are, how they attack games. If you remember the Pirates games, some of the games, you see that they're one of the few teams that has a 1-2 punch. When the first half or the first team or the starting lineup is not working, you know that there's people that can come on. And you know that there's leaders that can come on. So well done to Skukune for, at the very least, maintaining their status up there. Stellenbosch. Barca survives Africa. A big question was, what was Barca going to do? Going into Africa, losing Reyners, losing Adams, Van Veek, Van Rooyen. So many players left that team at the beginning of the season. And they, at some point, looked like the wheels were coming off. They were in the group stages. I believe they were losing to Bolunda, Soul. The play wasn't coming together. They weren't finding their feet. But the ability to turn all of that around while also reaching a semi-final of the CAF Confed is insane. You know, what Barca gives you, Coach Barca gives you, is a coach that I guess doesn't have a big ego and understands himself and his players. And what a lot of teams tend to lack in the league is the ability to just play towards the strengths of what you have. Devon Titus is an incredible player. And you know what's great about Devon Titus and how Stellenbosch use him? They're not asking him to be skillful or to be extra or to do things that he's not. They've gone, Devon, you are so good at what you're doing. Let's amplify that. Let's put you in a team that can help you out. I think De Jong is one of the most underrated number 10s, even though he was playing as a 9 at all of the season. But as a 10, I think he's one of the most underrated minds, thinkers in the league. So that team also being able to bring on Abo Sanele Barnes from the bench, Abo Mujela coming back. If there's a team that is poised to make the next step, it has to be Stellenbosch. Now, Stellenbosch, the only warning I have is a similar warning to SuperSport. You cannot keep losing these guys. Pasadinba, you cannot lose these guys. You have to build on top of that. And that is where a lot of teams fail, especially the ones that have found business models that aren't resource intensive. They tend to then lose themselves after a little bit, after relying on certain players for a very long time, relying on this model of selling. I would love to see Stellenbosch take the next step. Now, they're not as close to Pirates as they were last season. Last season, I believe they lost it in the last 2 or 3 games. I'd love to see them close that gap to Pirates because Pirates has somewhat closed the gap with Mamelodi Sundowns. Stellenbosch, well done. Orlando Pirates, second by default. The age-old question persists. Is Pirates the second best team in the league because they're genuine contenders and competition for Mamelodi Sundowns? Or are they second by virtue of being the best of the rest? The gap between Sundowns and Pirates points towards it being the first one. Now, here's the interesting thing. I think Pirates did well this season. And I will always tell you that I don't think Pirates has an issue with play. I don't think Pirates has an issue with the levels, as in when they play other teams. They're usually the better team. I think Pirates fails here. The league is a mental game. The league is about consistency. The league is about keeping your performance, whether you're playing Chippa United, whether you're playing Sundowns, whether it's a derby, whether you're playing Richards Bay. Whether it's sunny, it's windy, the pitch is wet, the pitch is dry, you feel up to it, it doesn't matter. You have to keep showing up, especially for the league. Now, we all know that Pirates is by far the best cup team in the country. You could even argue what they did in the Champions League cemented that. But they need to go out and fix certain problems. I'll highlight a couple of them. The build-up that Pirates has, the midfielders hide. You need to find people that are willing to come back and show for the ball and build the ball. Up front, yes, Aborile on their day are great. But there are days where you're not going to be great. And that was most of Pirates' season, being saved by the defense and then coming out and getting desperation goals that are scored. Yes, no, they still score and win. I'm not taking that away from them. But it's not through Pirates' play that they did that. So I need Pirates to be more consistent, more ruthless, and stay focused within the league. Pirates, I will always say this. Those who watch the show regularly know what I'm about to say. Orlando Pirates is the most dangerous team in the league. There is no team that can heat up in a microwave like Pirates. There is no team that can put you under pressure like Pirates when they're on. The problem is that Pirates, you don't know which Pirates is going to show up for which game. And when you're competing with an ultra consistent team that is also starting to pick up the dangerous parts of their game, you're going to have to be very ruthless. I want to big up guys like Abu Sbisi, because the truth of the matter is that Pirates lost a lot of players throughout the season and couldn't play some players for different reasons, but they didn't have the luxury of having a full squad available all the time. And having Abu Sbisi step in when Abu Sesan and Abu Toki have gone down and show the leadership that he showed, as well as seeing Abu LTP, Abu Mbogazi come out of nowhere, Vumbuga, and be, if it wasn't for him not playing that many games, I think he's one of the defenders of the season. He should be defender of the season. You think about up front, Abu Nkota, Naboba Vumbugileje, Abu Silepe that are coming in late. Hey guys, Orlando Pirates was cooking. The only issue is that now Coach Jose is gone, and management has a very tough decision to make as to where to take this Pirates team now. It's going to be interesting what choices they make going forward, because those choices determine a lot. If you bring in a development coach, you might be sacrificing the progress that you've made now. If you bring in a cup specialist, you might not win the league. If you bring in a CAF specialist or make it a mercenary job, it might become a situation where your youth doesn't get to play because the job is high pressured now. The biggest advantage of having Coach Rivero was that he was 3 years into the job. Doesn't have to learn anything new. Doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. Understands the culture and all of that. And somewhat it may feel that they're starting from scratch. But it's up to me. For me, it's up to Pirates to close that gap with Sundowns. They're the closest team. They're possibly the best team. They showed it in the CAF Champions League. But they need to focus for the whole league. Stop leaving it late. Stop leaving it to desperation games or leaving it in other people's hands. Pirates, you are second by default. But you could be second or even first by merit if you just knuckle down and do the mental work. Mamelodi Sundowns, the best team again. What can you say about Mamelodi Sundowns that is not being said? There's a reason why you're 8-time league winners. There's a reason why you're a CAF Champions League finalist. There's a reason why even when we speak to Sundowns and we say that they're not cup ready, it's not for lack of trying, and it's not for lack of reaching finals. This Mamelodi Sundowns team has found another excellence. How do you follow an invincible season where a team loses one game? How do you follow that? And this team said, oh no, we know how. All we're going to do is, get the most wins ever. We're going to score 100 goals in a season. We're going to have the number 1, 2, and 3 top goal scorers. We're just going to be a team that kills people in 20 minutes, where last season Sundowns are struggling to open the low block. This one goes, guys, low block. Shem, Twara 3, it's okay. Deadly, ruthless Sundowns in the league. The biggest attribute that Sundowns has is their focus and ability to just understand how to weather games. They know that you're only going to face 15 minutes of pressure in the PSL. And if you can see out that 15 minutes, you can win 3-0. Silent assassins. Difference between Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns, that Mamelodi Sundowns, no fanfare, no noise. They just keep doing their job. It's almost professional. We win. By the time you wake up, it's done. Remember earlier in the season when Pirates was doing so well in the first 5 games? You have to do well in all 28. This season was 28. You have to do well in all 28 games. And that is what Mamelodi Sundowns displays week in and week out, respecting every single opponent, respecting every single point. And maybe that's what they need going into the CAF Champions League. They need to have some of that. They need to bring that energy into the CAF Champions League and weather storms and trust themselves and be patient and be grootmane. That's what Sundowns needs to do next season. But in the league, far and away the best team. In the PSL era, far and away the best team in terms of league wins. To the other teams, you don't need to beat Sundowns every game to win the league. You need to make sure that you're beating everybody else. That is the power of Sundowns. They beat everybody else. Well done to Coach Cardoso and Ronwen. Well done to Mamelodi Sundowns. Another masterclass of a league season. And I'm super jealous about that whole organization. Hopefully, the Club World Cup doesn't take too much from them. Hopefully, the disappointment of losing the CAF Champions League doesn't haunt them. But I want to do an overall one on the Betway Premiership. The one consistent thing is that there's too many changes. How do you build consistency? How do you build a philosophy? How do you build an experience? You do that by doing things consistently. Not chopping and changing coaches. Not chopping and changing players. Not chopping and changing technical directors. Not chopping and changing leadership. Not chopping and changing goals. You find something. You build on top of it. You find something and you build complementary pieces around it. You find something and you back it fully. Resources. Support. A lot of coaches are drowning because of the type of jobs they need to do. You have to be the coach, the manager, the PR, the scout, the negotiator, the this, the that, the that, the that, the that, because teams are making coaches, are making staff scapegoats. Teams are not backing the people. Look at the coaches that I've spoken about now. Steve Barker should have a blank check right now. Coach Jose shouldn't be having player personnel issues right now. I know he's gone. Coach Atazwani should be given everything he needs to be given next season. Coach Siema should have been given everything that he needed. Coach Putimo Hafe, to go forward, should be backed. You can go down the whole list. Even Bonabi. This league is full of teams that are half clutching the league. Full of teams that are not fully invested. I don't believe there's one way to win or one superior style. But I do believe that if you pick something and you go 100% into it, 100%, not 80, 70, 30%, 100% into it. That means when you pick a coach that you understand what you're trying to do. When you pick a technical director, understand what you're trying to achieve. When you pick players or buy players, when you do all of those different things, make sure that that is all in one vision. Most of our teams are killed because everyone within the organization is running in different directions. All talk. But when it comes down to it, your actions speak more than anything. And what do your actions show you in the PSL? How many coaches have lost their jobs mid-season? How many players have been signed? And you find that when the guy arrives, he does nothing. And it's not because the player's bad, but it's because the system doesn't match. We can literally run through most of this league and you'll find all of the different issues. Look at the changes that Makesi made mid-season. We can even do it right now. Royal M Finance is fine, but they have a history. Cape Town City, you're installing a new technical director structure mid-season, never works. SuperSport United, Gavin Hunt is then moved out. After another season of losing some star players. Makesi, Clinton Larson, wins a cup, chigi chigi, khwalwaniwa, komrago. ODG, very good job righting the ship. Golden Arrows, when did Coach Mangoba step into that role? What backing did he get? Chippa United, Kwanele Kopo, gone mid-season. Marumo Gallants, Abdesalam Wadu, when did he come in? Late in the season. What's happening right now? He's gone. Resigned, fired, whatever the story is right now. Apparently, he put together a plan that was going to take Marumo Gallants, a coach that puts down a plan and says, this is a 5-year plan. This is how we grow the development. This is how we reap the benefits of a development because we know we can't spend. Think about the things he was saying on Robert Marawa. Gone. Kaizer Chiefs. Nebi comes in. Now he's talking about his players after a whole season. Richards Bay. We know what happened with Coach Kano. Polokwane City. Apolis. That situation. Has Coach Putima Afe being backed? Or is he just another miracle worker? Amazulu. I believe Zwane was brought in midway through the first half of the season. I don't think he's had a transfer window for himself outside of bringing in Abobongani Zoom. What might happen if he's backed fully? TS Galaxy. Sid Ramovic leaves beginning of the season after going and coming back and going and coming back. Luckily, his assistant can continue on. Skukune. Peter Ibala. Yes, that's the name. Coach Siema. Peter Ibala. Coach Siema Kaitano Tembo. Coach Tinkler. Where is the stability there? Stellenbosch were literally lost all of their best players. Coach Baka's hanging on. Knife edge. Cape Town City SuperSport. Orlando Pirates. The Saleng issue. Issues with some other players that are not playing that should be available. Again, the serious team in the league, Sundowns. And even when they made changes, look at how the changes went. Now, I know a lot of you are going to argue and say, anybody can coach Sundowns. Not everybody can give you a record-breaking season after a previous record-breaking season. Not everybody can give you a Champions League final. Shows you the power, the strength in recruitment. Too many changes are killing our league. Can we act like professional teams in the top league, in one of the top leagues in Africa, in one of the top leagues in the world, just commercially? That is the challenge here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye everyone.